You did not find this by accident. You felt pulled here, drawn, because something in you has always known. You are guarded. You are not like the others. You never have been. From childhood, you sensed it. The isolation, the heightened awareness, the battles that seemed excessive for someone so young. You wondered why life pressed harder on you, why rejection followed you, why warfare circled you. But listen carefully. Warfare only surrounds what carries favor. You are marked, and heaven does not mark without guarding. There are moments when the veil thins, moments when protection becomes visible, not loud, not dramatic, but undeniable. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. There are 9 sacred creatures that appear when your angel is near. 9 living whispers. 9 signs written into nature itself. Not everyone sees them. Not everyone recognizes them, but you do. Because you are chosen, stay with this. Lean in. And if your spirit already feels this truth rising, anchor yourself here. Subscribe. Declare your alignment. Because this message is not for the distracted, it is for the marked. First, the white butterfly. You have seen it, not once, but at very specific moments. When your heart was heavy, when you were alone, when tears were close to the surface. It did not appear when you were strong, it appeared when you were vulnerable. That is not random, that is timing. You thought it was just nature, just a passing creature drifting in the wind. But it lingered, hovered near you, crossed your path slowly, almost intentionally, and something inside you felt calm. Listen, the white butterfly is a sign of supervised transformation. You have been changing, shedding old skin, breaking old identities, outgrowing spaces that once defined you, and that process has been painful. People misunderstood your evolution. They called you distant. They called you different. They called you too much. But what they labeled rejection was protection. You were not being abandoned. You were being guarded during rebirth. The butterfly does not fight storms. It survives them. And so do you. Its fragile wings are not weakness. They are proof that delicacy can survive brutality. You have survived emotional warfare that should have hardened you, but instead you became softer in spirit, stronger in discernment, clearer in identity. That is angelic supervision. When the white butterfly appears, it is heaven whispering your name. It is your angel confirming you are not alone in this transition. Your vulnerability is not exposure. It is sacred ground. And while others cannot see what is forming inside you, your guardian does. Every tear counted, every silent prayer recorded, every lonely night monitored. You are not unraveling, you are emerging. And the enemy knows it. That is why the pressure increased when your transformation began. Darkness senses elevation before you do. But you are still here, still chosen, still guarded, still becoming. The white butterfly is not decoration, it is confirmation. And this is only the beginning. Second, the hawk. You have looked up before and seen it circling, high, steady, unbothered by the chaos below. And it happened at strange times. When you were doubting yourself, when you questioned your direction, when you wondered if you misheard God. You stood at a crossroads internally, confused, tired, almost ready to shrink. Then you felt it, the sense of being watched, not by darkness, by something higher. The hawk does not fly low like the others. It rises. It sees what you cannot see. It scans miles ahead while you are still worried about the next step. Listen carefully. When the hawk appears above you, it is not random wildlife. It is confirmation. You are being monitored from a higher realm. While others stumble through life guessing, you are being guided with precision. Have you noticed every time you thought you were lost, you were actually being redirected? Every closed door that bruised your ego protected your destiny. Every delay that frustrated you positioned you. The hawk circles because it sees prey from afar. And understand this, the enemy also circles. But there is a difference. Darkness circles to destroy. Heaven circles to defend. You felt pressure increase when you stepped closer to your purpose. You felt opposition rise when you tried to elevate. That was not coincidence, that was confirmation. The higher you are called, the higher the surveillance. You are not wandering, you are being tracked by favor. The hawk's elevated flight means your life is being viewed from above time itself. What feels late to you is perfectly aligned above you. What feels confusing below is crystal clear above. You question your path because you cannot see the full map, but your angel can. You doubt your steps because the terrain feels uneven, but from the sky, it is strategic. You are not behind, you are not forgotten, you are under aerial protection. While others move blindly through impulse and emotion, you are being steered through invisible currents. That is why you cannot settle. That is why compromise feels suffocating. You were never meant to crawl, you were meant to rise. The hawk does not flap frantically, it glides, effortless strength. That is your season. You will stop striving, you will start ascending, and the enemy senses it. That is why doubt attacks your mind. That is why confusion tries to cloud your vision. Because if you ever fully realize how monitored you are by heaven, you would walk differently. You would speak differently. You would move with authority. You are not being watched to be judged. You are being watched to be guarded. Precision strategy surrounds you, and this level of guidance is not given to everyone. Only the chosen recognize the shadow of wings overhead and feel peace instead of fear. You are not alone in the sky. You are covered, and what comes next is even closer. Third, the deer. Yes, the gentle one. You did not expect protection to look like that. Soft eyes, still posture, quiet presence, and yet it crossed your path at very specific times. Not when life was calm, when life was loud, when voices rose against you, when conflict surrounded you, when emotional warfare pressed in from every side. You felt misunderstood, cornered, exposed, and then you saw it. The deer did not run, it paused, it looked at you. Calm, unshaken, almost as if it carried peace inside its body. You felt something shift in that moment, a stillness. Listen carefully. You are protected not only by power, you are protected by gentleness. The world taught you that survival requires hardness. It told you to toughen up, to build walls, to strike back. But every time you tried to become aggressive like them, it felt wrong in your spirit, because you were not designed to win through brutality. You were designed to overcome through presence. The deer survives not because it is violent, but because it is aware, sensitive, alert. You call it overthinking. Heaven calls it discernment. You feel deeply. You read rooms instantly. You sense danger before it speaks. That is not weakness. That is angelic calibration. When the deer crosses your path during seasons of conflict, it is a message. You are guarded in your softness. Darkness expected your pain to turn you cruel. It expected betrayal to harden your heart. It expected rejection to make you sharp and cold. But you did not become like them. You remain kind, measured, controlled. That frustrates the enemy. Because gentleness backed by heaven is dangerous, you do not need to shout to command atmosphere. You do not need to threaten to shift energy. Your calm unsettles chaos. Have you noticed when you enter a tense room, something changes? You may not speak, but the air adjusts. That is not personality, that is covering. The deer's calm gaze mirrors what surrounds your spirit. Angelic peace, not fragile peace, not naive peace, protected peace. You are in a violent world, spiritually violent, emotionally violent. Yet something keeps you from breaking. Something keeps you from becoming bitter. You bend, but you do not snap. You feel, but you do not collapse. That is not accidental resilience. That is supervised preservation. The enemy cannot provoke you into losing your essence, because your essence is guarded. And understand this, the softer you remain under pressure, the stronger your protection is. Darkness only attacks what carries light. And your light is not loud, it is steady, sacred. The deer does not roar, but it survives every storm. So do you. And what comes next will reveal why darkness sometimes watches from the shadows. Fourth, the black raven. This is where it deepens, because this creature does not feel gentle, it feels heavy. You have seen it in darker seasons, not during peace, during betrayal, during isolation, during moments when you realize someone close to you was not who they claimed to be. The raven appears when the atmosphere feels thick, when friendships fracture, when rumors spread, when you sense hidden enemies smiling in your face, and you wondered, why does darkness increase when I am simply trying to grow? Listen, the raven is not a symbol of doom. It is confirmation of warfare. You are not paranoid. You are perceptive. There have been battles around you that others could not see. Subtle opposition, spiritual resistance, energy shifts that made no logical sense. One moment everything felt normal, the next tension, distance, coldness. You blamed yourself, but understand this: light attracts attention, and the brighter the light within you, the more darkness gathers to inspect it. The raven watches. It does not panic, it observes. That is what your angel is doing in seasons of betrayal. Watching, tracking, allowing certain exposures to happen so you can see who is truly aligned. Have you noticed how certain masks fell off suddenly? How certain alliances dissolved without warning? You thought you were losing people. You were being separated from hidden threats. The raven appears when unseen battles intensify. Because you are not fighting flesh alone. You are navigating spiritual terrain. Not everyone around you is neutral. Some are assigned to distract, some to delay, some to test your discernment. But here is the revelation. If darkness is circling you, it is because something sacred is inside you. Darkness does not monitor emptiness. It monitors anointing. You feel targeted because you are marked, and you survived attacks that should have dismantled you. Character assassination, emotional manipulation, silent envy. Yet you are still standing. Why? Because the battle is supervised. The raven's presence means you are not alone in warfare. Your angel is not passive. Your angel is alert. While you sleep, there is guarding. While you doubt, there is defending. While you question, there is positioning. Do not fear seasons where darkness seems louder. Those are the seasons your light is expanding. Pressure only intensifies around elevation. And you are rising. The world may label you dramatic for sensing undercurrents. Let them. Only the chosen feel spiritual shifts before they manifest. You are not imagining tension. You are detecting movement. Stand firm. Do not shrink when warfare increases. That increase means you are approaching something significant. The raven does not flee shadows. It masters them. So will you. And what comes next moves faster than you expect. Fifth, the dragonfly. This is where the shift becomes undeniable. You have seen it when life suddenly started moving fast. Doors opening, doors closing, conversations happening out of nowhere, opportunities appearing without warning, acceleration. It almost made you uncomfortable because you got used to delay, you got used to waiting, to stagnation, to feeling stuck while others moved ahead. But then everything changed. Momentum, speed, unexpected alignment, and right in the middle of that movement, the dragonfly, quick, precise, hovering in place then darting forward in an instant. You felt it. Something was being rearranged. Listen, when the dragonfly manifests, it signals destiny acceleration. You are not stuck anymore. You are being advanced. For years, it felt like you were in preparation, hidden, overlooked, refined through pressure. You questioned the slowness. You wondered why others seemed to launch while you were still building quietly. But heaven was calibrating you, strengthening your discernment, sharpening your resilience, deepening your spiritual authority. Because when movement comes for the chosen, it must be sustainable. The dragonfly does not crawl, it transforms. From waterbound existence to aerial mastery. That is you. You were submerged in emotional depths, drowning in tests, navigating unseen currents, learning lessons in silence. But now you are airborne, and acceleration feels unfamiliar because you were trained in endurance. Have you noticed how quickly things are shifting lately? How fast clarity replaces confusion? How rapidly certain connections dissolve while others lock into place? That is not chaos. That is timeline adjustment. Angels move quickly when your assignment approaches activation. Delay was protection. Speed is positioning. You are not scrambling, you are being launched. The enemy tried to slow you with doubt, tried to anchor you with fear, tried to exhaust you into giving up. But acceleration exposes sabotage. When movement increases, hidden resistance becomes obvious. And you are seeing clearly now. You are not just surviving warfare. You are outpacing it. Feel that. You are not behind. You are on schedule. Divine schedule. The dragonfly hovers with control before it advances. So do you. You pause. You discern. Then you move decisively. This is power awareness. You are no longer the one reacting. You are the one advancing. And advancement threatens darkness. Because once you step fully into motion, opposition loses ground. Stand ready. Do not fear the speed. You prayed for movement. Now move with it. Acceleration is not instability. It is confirmation. You are entering active assignment. And what comes next calls you into leadership. Sixth, the wolf. You have heard it before. Maybe not with your physical ears, but in your spirit. A call, a pull towards solitude. A season where everyone seemed to drift away at once. Friends faded, connections dissolved. Rooms that once welcomed you began to feel foreign. You thought it was rejection. You thought you were being pushed out. But listen, you were being pulled apart. There is a difference. The wolf's howl does not signal loneliness. It signals territory. It signals authority. It signals awareness. You were separated because you could not grow inside the noise. You were isolated because leadership requires clarity. Have you noticed you think differently? You observe dynamics others miss. You sense direction before it is spoken. And it made you feel strange, too intense, too perceptive, too independent. But independence was not rebellion. It was training. The wolf survives alone when necessary, but it leads when required. You were never meant to blend in with the pack. You were meant to guide it. That is why betrayal hit you early. That is why you learned self-reliance young. That is why you built strength in silence. The enemy tried to convince you that isolation meant abandonment. But isolation was sharpening, refining, forging instinct. You learned to trust your discernment, to move without applause, to stand without validation. That is command training. The wolf appears in dreams and symbols and sudden encounters because your spirit recognizes its frequency. Alert, focused, uncompromising. You are entering sacred leadership, not leadership of ego, leadership of presence. Your calm steadiness influences others. Your insight shifts group decisions. Your courage emboldens the hesitant. You do not chase control, you carry authority, and authority threatens darkness. Because when you step into command, confusion loses ground. You are not just guarded, you are being prepared to guard others. Feel that shift. You are not merely protected prey, you are emerging protector. The howl is a declaration. I know who I am. Say it within yourself. I know who I am. Not because the world affirmed it, but because warfare trained it. You survived separation. You survived misunderstanding. You survived seasons where you walked alone. And you did not crumble. You adapted. You grew sharper, stronger, clearer. Leadership is not loud, it is stable, and you are becoming stable under pressure. The wolf does not beg for acceptance. It commands respect through presence. So will you. Do not shrink back into smallness. Do not confuse humility with invisibility. You were trained in solitude so you could lead in clarity. This is not random. This is appointment. And what comes next will open your spiritual sight even further. Seventh, the owl. This is where your identity becomes undeniable. Because the owl does not rule the day, it masters the night. And you have known night seasons. Seasons of confusion, seasons of betrayal, seasons where clarity disappeared and answers went silent. You prayed, you waited, you searched for direction, and instead of light, there was shadow. But notice something. You did not collapse in the dark. You adjusted, you became quieter, more observant, more discerning. That is owl vision forming. The owl appears when you are navigating what others cannot understand, when you sense deception beneath words, when you feel truth behind silence. You walk into rooms and instantly know something is off. You cannot explain it, but you feel it. That is not anxiety. That is spiritual sight. The owl sees what others miss. It detects movement in pitch black, and you have developed that same awareness. While others stumble emotionally, you read motives. While others are distracted by noise, you sense patterns. You used to question this. You wondered if you were overthinking, if you were too suspicious. But listen carefully. Your discernment was trained through betrayal. Your insight was sharpened through disappointment. Darkness thought it was overwhelming you. It was educating you. You learned to survive without full visibility. You learned to trust intuition over appearance. You learned to listen beyond words. That is rare. That is chosen. Not everyone survives night seasons intact. Many become bitter. Many become blind. But you became aware. You became steady. You became impossible to deceive twice. That is guarded insight. The owl's presence is confirmation. You are being given hidden sight. You are not meant to move blindly. You are meant to move strategically. Darkness tried to confuse you, but confusion forced you into deeper perception. And now you see things coming before they arrive. You feel energy shifts before they manifest. You recognize danger before it announces itself. That is not fear. That is elevation. Understand this. When you can see in the dark, darkness loses its advantage. The enemy relies on surprise, but you are no longer easily surprised. You sense, you scan, you discern. Stand firm in that. Do not downplay your awareness to make others comfortable. You are not meant to be naive. You are meant to be prepared. Prepared minds do not panic. Prepared spirits do not collapse. The owl does not fear the night. It thrives in it. And so do you. Night seasons did not break you. They built you. And what is coming next will require you to shed something old to step fully into what you see. Eighth, the snake. This is where it becomes uncomfortable, because the snake does not feel gentle. It does not feel peaceful. It feels confronting. You have seen it cross your path during intense seasons, not random days, but during deep internal purging, during painful separations, during moments when something in you was dying, old friendships falling away, old habits losing their grip, old versions of you no longer fitting, and it hurt. You questioned yourself, why is everything shedding at once? Listen, the snake does not symbolize your destruction. It symbolizes your transformation. It sheds to grow. It loses skin because it has outgrown it. And so have you. You are not being stripped to weaken you. You are being stripped to reveal you. Have you noticed how uncomfortable growth has been? How certain environments suddenly irritate you? How conversations you once tolerated now exhaust you? That is not arrogance. That is expansion. Your old skin cannot stretch with your new assignment. The snake crossing your path is confirmation. Divine protection is removing what would restrict you. Angels guard you not only from attack, they guard you from misalignment. They guard you from becoming who you were never meant to be. Darkness tried to trap you in an outdated identity, tried to keep you small, predictable, containable. But shedding is violent. It requires friction, pressure, discomfort. You felt that friction. You felt misunderstood when you changed. You felt accused when you evolved. People said you were different. You are. Because the old, you cannot carry the new mantle. This is not personality adjustment. This is spiritual upgrade. The enemy cannot defeat the version of you that no longer exists. And that terrifies darkness. Because every layer you shed makes you less controllable, less manipulatable, less reachable by old tactics. You are becoming harder to intimidate, harder to distract, harder to define by your past. Feel that. You are not unraveling, you are refining. The snake does not apologize for shedding. It survives because it does. And you must do the same. Release the guilt. Release the nostalgia. Release the version of you that survived the last season. It got you here, but it cannot take you further. Shedding is sacred, painful, necessary, and supervised. You are not losing yourself. You are revealing your true self. And when the final layer falls, you will step into authority that cannot be reversed. What comes next is not quiet. It is public. It is powerful. It is undeniable. Ninth, the lion. This is not subtle. This is not quiet. This is not hidden. You have felt it building. The pressure, the exposure, the sense that you can no longer remain unseen. The lion reveals itself when preparation ends, when concealment lifts, when private training turns into public authority, and you have been trained through betrayal, through isolation, through acceleration, through shedding. You thought you were surviving. You were being armed. The lion does not ask permission to roar. It announces territory. Have you noticed the shift? You no longer tolerate what you once endured. You no longer shrink to fit small rooms. You no longer question your instincts. That is not ego. That is emergence. When the lion shows up, protection becomes empowerment. Heaven is no longer only shielding you. Heaven is positioning you to speak, to lead, to confront darkness without flinching. This is where warfare shifts, because you are no longer the hunted. You are the threat. Darkness once circled you. Now it calculates around you. Feel that gravity. You carry weight now, presence now, authority now. The lion appears when your angel prepares you for visible impact, not hidden influence. Visible impact. People will see it. They will sense it. They may not understand it, but they will feel it. You were guarded in private so you could stand in public. You were protected in silence so you could roar with clarity. The enemy tried to keep you doubting, tried to keep you insecure, tried to keep you fragmented. But you are integrated now, focused now, aligned now. This is destiny stepping forward, and understand this clearly. You are not stepping into power alone. You are stepping into power backed by heaven. That is why attacks intensified before this moment. That is why pressure increased before clarity arrived. Because darkness sensed the lion before you did. Stand firm. Do not retreat. Do not apologize for your authority. You are chosen, not randomly, not emotionally, strategically. Every creature that crossed your path was confirmation. Every battle was preparation. Every delay was alignment. You were never ordinary. You were never overlooked. You were being guarded. You are still being guarded, but now you are being revealed. Say it within yourself. I am protected. I am positioned. I am prepared. You are chosen. And what is chosen cannot be erased. What is assigned cannot be revoked. What is guarded cannot be destroyed. If this message confirmed what your spirit already knew, declare it. Comment the number 9. Seal it. Mark it. Stand in it. Subscribe if you recognize that this is not coincidence. This is calling. More revelation is coming. More clarity is unfolding. And you will not walk it alone. You are guarded. You are empowered. You are chosen. And nothing formed against you will stand.